Hey guys, what's up? I am Vinayak Agarwal and on this channel I'll be uploading some really good questions for JEE Advanced Exam. So before getting into the video, go hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to make sure you never miss any good questions from the channel. I know this video is a bit late, but I promise that all the next videos are going to be on time. So let's get the video started. Okay, you can pause the video here and attend the question over there, and after you are done trying to solve the question, you can come back to the video and see the solution. Okay, so this question is from a recent test, and not a lot of people got this question right, so that's the only reason I'm uploading this question. I don't find this question very tough, as you can see in the solution right now. Okay, so this question says we had a charged particle, let's say Q, and it came along this path, the track 1, and let's say this point is O. At this point O, due to some nuclear reactions, it got let's say exploded, and it got disbanded into two other charged particles, let's say Q2 and Q3, which are following these track 3 and track 2. So when the particle got exploded due to the nuclear reactions, it must had experienced a new force, which is equal to change in momentum upon time, the change in momentum of the particle. This particle upon time, it must had experienced a force like this, and similarly another force with equal to momentum of this particle upon the same time would be experienced over here by this particle, and similarly over here. So the momentum upon time, so we don't know the mass of the particle, so let's see what the momentum actually is. So we have mv square by r is equal to qvb. This is the normal equation of the forces when we equate the forces, the repeated force and the magnetic force. So we have mv equals to qbr. Now, as you can see, it was a one-line expression, and it was a one-line derivation, and momentum of a charged particle when in a magnetic field is equal to qbr. Now, this expression is very simple, and it is easy to derive, but it is not used a lot. So we should keep this in mind, that momentum of a charged particle in a magnetic field is qbr. So this was the particle. It came like this, q. Let's say q1, and q1b r1 upon time. Let's just not write this time and say f1 is proportional to some k into this. This was equal to f1. It experienced a force like this. Similarly, the other two particles experienced forces like this, f3 and f2. F3 is equal to Q2B R3. Sorry, this is Q3. It doesn't matter, but still. K Q3B R3, and F2 is K Q2B R2. Now, Lami's theorem tells us this angle is theta 3. This angle is theta 1, and this angle is theta 2. So what Lami's theorem tells us is f1 upon sine theta 1 equals to f2 upon sine theta 2 is equal to f3 upon sine theta 3. Now when we plug these values in this, we get the b and k gets cancelled in all the equalities. So we have q3 r3 upon sine theta, or let's just say qr upon sine theta is equal to constant. Now, since this expression is constant, so and also we know that the basic property of the charged particle is that the charge is always an integral multiple of electron. Okay, that is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19. So this every q is actually an integer times electron, the charge of an electron. So we can say sine theta upon r, sine theta upon r into this constant. So yeah, so let's say that constant is c, and the ratio of all this is in the ratio of integers. So c sine theta upon r, c sine theta 1 upon r1 equals to c sine theta 2 upon r2. is 2 upon R2 is to C sin theta 3 upon R3. This ratio must be the ratio of integers because of this, so the C also gets cancelled, so we are left with this. So the correct option is answer D. You can pause the video here and attempt the question over there. After you are done trying to solve the question, you can come back to the video and see the solution. Okay, so this question says we have an infinitely long straight wire. A long straight wire actually is an infinitely long straight wire. So an infinitely long straight wire we have with a current I, and here is a charged particle, let's say Qm, and we have projected it with a velocity v0. So right now the magnetic field over here is inside the plane. Let's say this direction is I cap, this is j cap, and this direction out of the plane is k cap. This is out of the plane. We can draw it over here also. It is k cap. Okay, so right now the direction is inside the plane, and the force on this particle is over here, Fb. Okay, so the path of this particle will look something like this, and why so? Because right now the force is over here. After some time, when the particle is over here, we have a x component of the velocity as well. So when we have an x component of the velocity, the magnetic field will still be inside the plane, but the force will be like this. The force will be like this, so we will get an additional force over here, so the net force will be like this. So at some when the particle gets very close to the wire, the magnetic field will get very high, because magnetic field is inversely proportional to the distance. So when the distance becomes negligible, the force becomes very high. So there will be some point at which the particle will actually turn. So this is the point, and let's say the distance from this wire is D. D is the minimum separation. Now let's do some maths over here. We have if we have magnetic field at any point is equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi y. This point is actually y distance over here, let's say. So mu naught I upon 2 pi y minus k cap is the magnetic field vector, and the F vector at any point is q. Let's say the velocity vector is v vector at that point, and the magnetic field is minus mu naught I upon 2 pi y k cap. Now we can say v vector equals to vxi plus vyj. Now when we say v vector equals to vxi plus vyj and put over here, we have to cross I cap and k cap and j cap and k cap, and we will get f vector. So f vector equals to, I'm going to call mu naught I upon 2 pi into k as some constant alpha. So we have alpha vxi times minus 1 by y k. So I cross minus k is j. So we have vx upon y j cap plus vyj times minus 1 by y k. So j cross minus k is minus I. So we have vy upon y minus I. Okay. When we divide both sides with m, this f vector is now a vector. Okay, so we have a vector equals to this, and let's say a vector is equal to axi plus ayj. So what we get from here is ax equals to minus alpha by m. Let's say alpha by m is some beta. So we have minus beta times vy upon y, and ay is beta times vx by y. Okay, so we actually don't need this expression, so I'm just gonna remove this from here. Ax equals to minus beta times vy by y. So vy is dy by dt, vy is dy by dt, and ax is dvx by dt. So we have dvx equals to minus beta dy upon y. The dt in both sides on both sides gets cancelled. So we have limits before integration. We have limits when y is x naught and when y is the minimum separation, let's say d, and vx at this point is 0, and at this point it is v naught. Why v naught? Because the energy is conserved from here to here, as the magnetic field doesn't do any work. So half m v naught square equals to half m vx square. So vx is equal to v naught. We have v naught equals to minus beta ln d by x naught. So we have d by x naught equals to e to the power minus v naught by beta, or we can say d equals to x naught e to the power minus. Now v naught beta is alpha by m, v naught upon alpha into m, and alpha is mu naught I upon 2 pi y, 2 pi, q mu naught upon 2 pi. So we have q mu naught upon 2 pi. Yeah. So let's compare it from there. We have 5a upon 7 equals to 2. So a equals to 14 by 5, or a equals to 2.8. So our final answer is a equals to 2.8. Okay, you can pause the video here and attempt the question over there. After you are done trying to solve the question, you can come back to the video and see the solution. Okay, so this question says we have f of x, a function which is not a constant function, and it is thrice differentiable function, and f of x is f of 6 minus x. So if f of x is 6 minus x, so the first thing we can derive from this is f dash x is going to be minus of f dash 6 minus x, and we are also given that f dash 0 equals to f dash 2 equals to f dash 5 equals to 0. Also, if n is the minimum number of roots of this equation in the interval 0 to 6, then the value of n by 2 is. So let's have a look at this equation now. We have f double dash x whole squared plus f dash x times f triple dash x. So we can write f dash x, f double dash x times f double dash x plus f triple dash x times f dash x is 0. Now this f double dash x is actually the derivative of f dash x, and this f triple dash x is the derivative of f double dash x. So we can say f dash x times f double dash x, derivative of this thing is 0. That is the number if the value of n is the number of roots of this equation. So if let's say we integrate both sides, then we will get some constant over here, and after that we will get f dash x whole squared equals to some new constant times some other constant, let's say anything. Now this equation is obviously not true, because the values of k and alpha are fixed, some constants, and this f dash x is 0 for multiple values of x, that is 0, 2, 5, and also some more. We will have a look at that just now. So this equation is not true, so we don't get anything useful after integrating this. So let's just erase this. That means all the values of n are actually when f dash n or f double dash n is 0. Either of these two terms or both of them are 0. Only then the derivative of this thing is 0, because this thing can't be constant, as we just see. So okay, yeah, if we put x equal to 0 in this equation, we will get f dash 0 equals to minus f dash 6 equals 0. So f dash 0 is f dash 6 equals to 0. Similarly, f dash 1 equals to 0, because f dash 1 is minus of f dash 5 and f dash 5 is 0. Similarly, f dash 2 is 0, f dash 3 is minus f dash 3, so f dash 3 is also 0. Similarly, f dash 4 is also 0. So we have f dash 0 equals to f dash 1 equals to f dash 2 equals to f dash 3 equals to f dash 4 equals to f dash 5 equals to f dash 6 equals to 0. Now we have 7 roots of f dash x. Now let's see what happens to f double dash x. So we already have 7 over here, and between these two, between this 0 and 1, we have f double dash c equals to f dash 1 minus f dash 0 upon 1 minus 0. This is the normal Rolle's theorem. So f dash 1 is f dash 0 is equal to 0. So we have some value of c between 0 to 1 at which f double dash c is equal to 0. So between 0 and 1 we have a root. We have one root over here, one root over here. Similarly between these and these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we have 6 more roots. What happens is we have to find the value of n by 2, and this is actually a curved bracket. I wrote that by mistake. So we have 0 up till 6 and some value between 0 and 1, so those 6 values. So we have 6 plus 6, 0 is not included, so the value of n equals to 12, so n by 2 equals to 6. You can pause the video here and attend the question over there. After you are done trying to solve the question, you can come back to the video and see the solution. Okay, so in this question we have in equals to 0 to 1. We have a GP with common ratio x, and we have n terms in this GP, and then we have an AGP 1 plus 3x plus 5x square up till 2n minus 1 x to the n minus 1, and we have to integrate this expression from 0 to 1, and we have to find the value of under root in. Okay, so let's first multiply these two expressions and see what we get. If we multiply 1 with all of this, we get 1 plus 3x plus 5x square up till 2n minus 1 x to the power 2n minus 1. Now if we multiply x with the whole of this expression, we can just increase the power of x by 1 and write the like terms together. So in this column I'll write x and then 3x square and so on up till 2n minus 3 x to the power 2n minus 1 plus 2n minus 1 x to the power 2n. Actually I'm sorry, it's not 2n minus 1 over here, it's just n. So yeah, 2n minus 3 x to the power n minus 1, 2n minus 1 x to the n. So you can see we are shifted by one term and we get one term over here extra, but we still have one term beneath this. So again, if we raise the power of x, that is we multiply x by x square, we get we get x square plus 3x cube plus dot plus up till 2n minus 5 x to the power n minus 1 plus we get 2n minus 3 x to the n plus we get 2n minus 1 x to the n plus 1. So as you can see, if we continue doing this, finally we'll be left with let's say all these rows are complete now, and when we add all of them together, we will get a one pyramid like this. I mean one triangle like this, one triangle like this, and the whole of this. So let's see what's the sum of this triangle. It is actually 1 plus 4x plus 9x square plus dot. So it is actually x square, and then 2 to the power 2 plus 1 is 3, and then 3 square. This is x to the power 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 2 square is 4. So similarly, it goes on till x to the power n minus 2. So n minus 2 plus 1 is n minus 1. So it is n minus 1 squared. And then we have n squared x to the n minus 1 plus now we have the same pyramid, same triangle. I don't know why I'm saying pyramid like that. We have the same triangle, just the difference is if we take x to the n common and do some changes, we will get x to the n minus 2 times n square minus n minus 1 squared. As you can see, the final term x to the n minus 1 times 2n minus 1 x to the n minus 1 is 2n minus 1 x to the 2n minus 1 2n minus 2. So this is actually x to the 2n minus 2, and this is n square minus n minus 1 squared. So that is equal to 2n minus 1. So similarly we can do for all of them. Now if we integrate this thing, if we integrate all of this, keeping this term aside and looking at these two terms, this will become x plus 2x square plus 3x cube plus up till n minus 1 x to the n minus 1. Now this will also become nx to the n, but let's not look into this. Let's look into this. This is actually n square minus n minus 1 squared. So we can write it as n minus 1 into n plus n minus 1 times x to the power n minus 2. And we take that x to the n inside. So 2n minus 2. And now if we integrate this, we see that denominator will become 2n minus 1 and this will become 2n minus 1. So this 2n minus 1 gets cancelled and we are left with this. So we see this is 1 times x to the power 2n minus 1 plus similarly if we do all of them, we will see that if we take x to the n common, it will be just same as in the LHS, and since x is equal to 1, because 0 to 1 is are the limits, so when we put 1, this whole term, you can simplify this as I did for this term. N square minus r square is n minus r into n plus r, and in the integral we will get 1 by n plus r, and that n plus r gets cancelled. So this thing is whole equal to this thing, and this thing is nothing but n minus 1 into n upon 2. The sum of natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2. So n minus 1 into n by 2, and this thing is equal to this, so we get into 2, and this thing is equal to n. So we have n plus n square minus n, so we have n square. So we get in equals to n square. So I9 is equal to 9 square, and under root I9 is equal to 9. So our final answer is under root I9 equals to 9.
Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. If you have some good questions of physics, chemistry, maths relevant for IIT JEE exam, you can send them on this email ID. I'll see them, and maybe I'll upload them in the next video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.